Good morning and welcome to another episode of Steelers Morning Rush. I'm Alan Saunders. It is Tuesday, October 29th. It is a victory Tuesday. The Pittsburgh Steelers coming off a 26-18 victory over the New York Giants on Monday Night Football. They will now enter their bye week having won 3 straight games. They are alone in first place at the top of the AFC North. They have a ton of players that are set to return to the team from injury and one from suspension. They may even have a new wide receiver from the trade market by the time the team reconvenes at Washington in a week and a half. High times for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I don't think many people thought would be 6-2 at this point of the season. And let's give some credit where credit is due, or at least I believe credit is due, to Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin for 2 weeks ago making the decision to make the change from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson at quarterback, despite significant public sentiment against that move. And also, let's give some credit to the Pittsburgh organization for giving their head coach the freedom to make that kind of decision. Here's what I mean by that. Was not a popular choice, not in Pittsburgh, not amongst the Steelers fan base, certainly not amongst the national media, which has been sort of frothing at the mouth over Justin Fields all offseason. And the ability to make difficult decisions is something that is a rare luxury for NFL head coaches. If you think there's a chance that you're going to get fired if this decision goes wrong, you're not going to make a difficult decision. You're not going to make a decision that you think might look silly on the surface to a lot of people, or that might be very unpopular, even if you think it's right. We all know the Steelers are not going to fire Mike Tomlin, or at least you all should know that. And Mike Tomlin knows that the Steelers are not going to fire Mike Tomlin. And the benefit the Steelers get from that, and the reason that is an organizational philosophy of the Pittsburgh Steelers dating back to the 1960s, is that it allows their coaches to not coach with their hair on fire, to not have to coach to keep their job. It allows them the freedom to make unpopular decisions if they think that's what's right. Mike Tomlin made an unpopular decision that was unpopular with his own fan base, was unpopular with his own media largely, was unpopular with the national media. A lot of people didn't understand it. And look what has happened over the last 2 games. The first 2 back-to-back 400-yard games for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense since 2018, since pre-injury Ben Roethlisberger. Not only that, Ben Roethlisberger did not have more than one 400-yard game after his injury. Kenny Pickett had 1. Mitch Trubisky had 0. Mason Rudolph had 1. This is something that they could not do at all in the last 4 seasons that now they've done in 2 consecutive games with Russell Wilson, a quarterback. Let's look at some of the numbers, too, and see what exactly has changed about the Steelers offense with Russell Wilson in control. He is not completing any more of his passes. Justin Fields had a 66.3 completion percentage. Russell Wilson, 63.2. But he is throwing for so many more yards. It is so much more down the field that has been opened up with the change that it's really opened up the entire offense in a way. Intended air yards per pass attempt has gone up, or some people call it ADOT, has gone up from 7.5 to 8.7 under Wilson, and the completions even better. And that Fields was attempting some of those deep passes, but he wasn't completing them. 5.5 completed air yards per completion, 9.1 for Wilson, and the adjusted net yards per attempt, which to me is sort of the holy grail of quarterback stats, nearly double. 5.58 from Justin Fields, 9.34 for Russell Wilson. Every time the Steelers drop back to pass, they are getting an extra almost 4 yards over the last 2 games compared to the first 6. That is an incredible change, especially when you consider nothing changed at the wide receiver position. And if anything, the offensive line is worse with the Steelers playing without James Daniels, without Troy Fautanu, without Zach Frazier these last 2 games. And we'll be getting Frazier back on the other side of the bye. The deep ball is obviously the thing that Russell Wilson has always been good at, and we should expect him to continue to be good at. But the Steelers aren't just throwing the ball better, they're also running the ball better. Najee Harris has had his best 2 games of the season these last 2 weeks, and he's running at a higher yards per carry with Russell Wilson than he had been with Justin Fields. Now, I don't think Russ is out there motivating Najee Harris to do a better job, but I think one of the underrated things that you're seeing is the presence of a longtime veteran NFL quarterback, not just in the huddle, but at the line of scrimmage. The ability to get out of a play when it's not going to work, or get into a play that he knows will work based on the defense, getting guys on the same page, getting the offensive line shifted the right direction to have the right protection, calling out blitzers. He is so good at that stuff because he has seen it all so many times. It's not because Justin Fields is less than. It's because Russell Wilson is greater than, and he has so much experience that he provides something that you just cannot replicate at the offensive line with that experience. He's been getting rid of the ball faster than he has in most of his career, while also still pushing it downfield. And it did take a couple sacks. He's always been a highly sacked player. We saw him use his legs a little bit for the first time. He did turn the ball over once, but we saw him use some functional athleticism. It's not like he's a statue out there. I do think that the Steelers can and probably need to find a way to use Justin Fields in the second half of the season, especially in the red zone, where the Steelers went 4 times against the Giants and came with 4 field goals. I'd really like to see a red zone package for Justin Fields. They don't have to use it every time, but I think it's something they should have available to them. Fields was injured and was not a regular dressed player for this game, not an option on Monday night, but something that they should be doing going forward. But man, just the entirety of the change, and these are 2 pretty good defenses. It is not like Russell Wilson is just beating up on bad teams here these last 2 weeks. The Jets and the Giants overall not good football teams. Both of their defensive units very good, and so I don't want to make too much out of a 2-game sample size. I didn't really make much of anything out of a 1 game. I think at this point, you have to kind of take the cap off and say, nice job, Mike Tomlin. Absolutely correct that this was the right move to make for his team. Absolutely correct that there was more to be unlocked. And I did say this last week, and I'm going to say it again. There's still way more to go for this offense. They can still be a lot better than they were against this game. They're going to get Zach Frazier back. That's going to make a difference for one. They're going to get Cordero Patterson back. That's going to make a difference. They're going to find a way to get some of these plays into the end zone, whether that's through Fields or just Russell Wilson having longer to work with these receivers, not on the same page with Van Jefferson on that 1 touchdown that falls incomplete, a couple scramble drills down there, which are just so much about, reading and reacting the same way to the same things that didn't go the Steelers' way that I think will in the future. And I think Russell Wilson's going to get some more time separated from that calf injury. I think he'll get a little bit of his mobility back compared to what we've seen so far. I think there's more for him to give personally as well. I think there's been a couple times where he probably should have just taken off and run with it, and he hasn't really looked super confident doing that yet. I would like to see a little bit more out of him, but I think there's more to give. And I think this offense can be pretty good. Can it be top 5 offense in the league? Probably not. But I think they're showing us that it can be pretty good. And I said all along, if they can have a pretty good offense, and I'm sure they're going to have a dominant defense, and this was not a great performance by the defense, but in 8 games, this is the first time you can really say that, and I will take that ratio. I think they're going to have a great defense, and if they can have a pretty good offense, that's a pretty good recipe. I think the Steelers should feel very good right now about where they stand in the AFC North and their chances of not only making the playoffs, but getting a home playoff game at Acrisure Stadium. That's it for now. More with me and Zachary Smith later here on the YouTube channel as we continue this Victory Tuesday. No practice or availability from the South Side or anything like that. So I'll roll out some more locker room video from last night on the YouTube channel here throughout the day. Got something from Beanie Bishop in the can, and we'll go fishing through the rest of the pile there. Maybe something from Alex Highsmith about his big game. And then back here with me and Smitty on Steelers Afternoon Drive a little bit later. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. Pop over to SteelersNow.com and check out all the written work over there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, enjoy.